Hey guys, this is Tom with DraftMagic.com, and I'm here actually with a different deck from the Pure Steel Collar that I had been running. What ended up happening is I ended up playing another PTQ with the Pure Steel Collar deck. Didn't do that well, and ended up just running a couple of different matchups which I really hadn't seen in the last PTQ. Did a couple testing matchups against the Wolfrun Ravager deck, which it really was not really built to really do well against. So after some pretty crushing defeats, I kind of decided to sort of look in a new direction, which kind of led me to building this mono-white Haunted Humans deck. And the nice thing about this deck is that it really kind of brings me back to my roots as a tournament level Magic player, where I had started kind of just a little bit before 2005, really playing White Weenie, really liking it as an archetype, and ended up doing very well actually with Boros back in Ravnica, and then kind of went on to sort of more just sort of aggressive White Weenie strategies. And so I put together this version of the Humans deck. Some of the important changes from your typical Haunted Humans build is going to be the inclusion of Elite Vanguard, which I think really deserves a spot in this deck, just because this deck is more or less an all-in strategy. It's not quite as all-in as some decks in the past. Some of the red speed burn decks, but it is kind of an all-in strategy in the sense that if you are up against a control deck, for example, if you don't get there and they stabilize, you pretty much can't win. It's almost impossible at that point. But the good news is that with this deck, the level of pressure you put out is just very, very impressive, and you really can just lead to some very, very crushing victories with it. So I really like kind of how the deck has been playing. I've done about 10 different matches in the last couple days. I also ran an 8-man queue, and in which it took first place and ended up going 6-1 in games against a couple different decks. Played against Nyapod, played against Delver, played against I believe that the third deck was either Esper Midrange or possibly Esper Control, and it really did very, very convincing victories. And against many of the other matchups in the past 10 matchups or so, it's gone about 8-2, so it's been doing very well. And it could just be a random sort of sampling of the decks that I've played, but I've been very impressed with the results. Some of the big other changes that I've made is that the inclusion of 4 Silverblade Paladin really, really just ramps up the threat with cards like Vanguard. Because if you can go turn 1 Vanguard into a turn 3 Paladin, and start getting in right away for the extra damage, it really does add up. The other cards I've been very impressed with has been Riders of Gavony. This card has won a couple matches just by essentially Wave of Indifferencing my entire team just to get right through and make all my creatures unblockable. It's been very, very efficient, especially against Naya, and it has a lot of applicability to the zombie matchup as well, especially when they have Blood Artists in play, and you don't want them to block. You don't want to block their creatures. So it really has gone a long way to really help the deck. The other thing, I feel like the trio of the Relic Warders and the Fiend Hunters is kind of a good place in terms of removal. This deck really wants to be packing as many creatures as possible onto the board, and so getting removal in the form of a creature is exactly what you want to be doing. The other thing that I think is worth mentioning is playing a 4 Cavern of Souls really gives you the ability to kind of get around some of the control magic, or the control counter spells and things like that nature, and then also allow you to cast all of your creatures very easily. But there's a couple cards here that I put in kind of to give the deck a little bit more value. The Divine Deflection is an interesting card, and the reason that I included it is to kind of help out with the Ravager matchup, or any kind of sort of damage board sweepers, or Bonfire against red-green aggro, or against Naya. And the other reason it's there is because it gives you a potential out against a control deck after you have after they've stabilized. So basically, if you're getting in, they may stabilize at 4, at 6, at 1, whatever the case may be. But to get in that last bit of damage, once they kind of feel safe later on, they'll get their Sun Titan out, be coming in, and this can win you a game out of nowhere. So it is a long shot, but it gives you some potential chance to win that game after they have stabilized. So it kind of covers a couple different fronts. The Contested Warzone I kind of added as a one-up just because I wanted to give this deck a little bit more kind of oomph in terms of getting in, and because this deck is definitely going to be winning through damage. And I felt that one-of didn't cause too much problems in terms of losing your lands, and this deck does play 29 creatures, well essentially 33 with the Gather the Townsfolk, so yeah, I felt pretty confident that we'd have enough board control to really use this card. In terms of the sideboard, being able to bring in War and Peace against control or against red decks, also being able to bring in Nevermore against Titans has really been very efficient, in terms of Sun Titan or Primeval Titan. Being able to stop Day of Judgment with Nevermore has been very good. The fourth, Talia, plays a really great role against control. The Grafdigger's Cage against Delver or other decks that really abuse the graveyard. So it's done very, very well, and hopefully it will continue to do well. But I will be running it tonight in a in a 4-round daily, and we will see how it does. So I will see you then. Hey guys, here we are for the first round of the 4-round daily. Definitely happy with our hand. So quite a few heroes here, but if we can pick up a nice 2-drop or 3-drop, we should have a good nice good opening here. And this is actually very nice with the turn 2 Relic Warder. But yeah, very excited to be playing White Weenie again. This is a deck that I really kind of miss playing and played for a long time in tournaments. Really sort of enjoy just kind of the very straightforward, straight to the face damage, and very excited to be playing it again. Looks like we are up against black-white tokens here. So hopefully we can get hero active and have a pretty powerful start here. There's the O-ring on the Relic Warder. Oh, I guess it'll be on the Mirren. So now if we can connect once with hero, we should be in a very good spot. Yeah, and that's it. So very aggressive, very straightforward, and very excited to be playing this deck again. Okay, up against Lingering Souls, we're going to want to bring in Sword of War and Peace. Definitely. Crusader is pretty good here. Other cards that we want We could bring in Purge for Sorin, potentially. I'm not sure if this deck is still running Sorin. And then also we can bring in Nevermore for Lingering Souls. We can catch Intangible Virtue. Let's see. We probably want to bring in Grafdigger's Cage as well. And then cards that we're looking to cut. Let's see. So Vanguard gets outclassed pretty quickly. Tokens are still fine. Relic Warder does a great job here. Fiend Hunter is not nearly as effective. Riders of Gavony is amazing here if we can name spirits. Deflection is fine, but yeah, this might be a nice little kind of trick here if we get overwhelmed. I'm not sure if we want to have Deflection or Nevermore here. Probably Deflection, actually. Although if we can turn off Lingering Souls, I'd be very excited to do that. I think I'm going to go with Deflection at this point. We could also have cut the Deflection for the 4th Talia. And this hand looks okay. That's a nice draw there for us. So now we're able to shut down the turn 3 Lingering Souls, although he may just go directly into the turn 3 Honor the Pure, or possibly into... really, I mean, he could do almost anything, any number of different cards here. Or Intangible Virtue. But if he's short on land, it can definitely help. So now, we definitely... I think at this point, we do want to trade Champion for the tokens if at all possible. Okay, there's the Honor the Pure. So now, unfortunately, we can't play Sword, but we can redirect 1 damage of with Deflection if we need to. So at this point, I think we're just... our plan is probably going to be to win with Sword or Hero. Question is, do we want to get in at this point, or do we want to go ahead and just try to give ourselves time? So I think that if we start trading damage here, then we can get Hero active, and then potentially, you know, go ahead and kind of race that way. So I think we do want to race here. Especially because we have Divine Deflection. Also because Talia could have been outclassed if he played another Honor the Pure there. Alright, so at this point, We definitely don't want to get in with Talia right now. We can go ahead and drop Sword, or we can just drop Hero. I think we want to go Hero this turn, and then go ahead and just drop hopefully Sword next turn. Alright, so now pretty much we just go Champion into Sword. And then if he wants to use Ratchet Bomb for 3, we get our hero back. I mean, here we can go ahead and move the Sword, just because, I mean, this way if he, you know, goes like Honor the Pure, you know, he doesn't just outclass our Talia. You know, so happily he's not getting in with his Doom Traveler, because if he was getting in with Doom Traveler, it's essentially free damage. I'm very happy that he's not getting in with the Traveler. And kind of while we're gaining life here, no real reason to play extra land, except for the Divine Deflection. But I think gaining the life, still very valuable here. Although I think that you know, kind of ramping up, getting ready for Divine Deflection is actually fine. And it's the nice thing here, because Ratchet Bomb and Oblivion Ring is not really a combo. so there's Virtue. So I guess at this point he probably waits for blockers, pops the bomb on blockers, then he gives us back the hero after blockers are declared, and comes in with these three. But then again, I mean, giving us hero is just such a huge benefit. So I guess he is going for it, though. So now he's going to wait for the Talia to block and then force it. Obviously, if we don't block, he doesn't pop Ratchet Bomb until our combat. So I think we want the hero enough back, bad enough to be able to give up a Talia here. So I think we're fine actually blocking and giving him the kill. The nice thing is we still whiff the damage for the human there. And we could even redirect the damage if we wanted to, but I think we want to save deflection here, since we have another Talia already. So I think we're fine with that. Let's see, so if we drop Honor, when we bash in and then just use deflection to kill him, I think that's pretty much the plan. Let's see, so we get in, if we drop Talia, what happens? So we have a 4-4 champion, or a 5-4, and then 2 3-2s getting in, so he blocks there, blocks there. He could even let 10 damage in, try to go for the kill. I think we're actually fine with that, because then we'll have deflection to ensure that we don't lose. So I think it's worth actually dropping Talia here. I mean, like, this way he gets to kill our hero, but we still, you know, we have a little bit more action with the champion. That's close. So I guess we can actually, since he blocked like that, we can redirect 1 point back to him. And I think that, and we can save our hero. Trying to remember how to set up the prevention shields here. Okay. Yeah, and that's the match. Yeah, so deflection really came through there. It's kind of a nice one-of in the deck just to give you a little bit more viability, and especially in creature fights, it can really kind of go the extra mile there. But we will see you for round 2.